Hey, what's up, everybody? Ray here, hitting y'all up with another theory today. A theory kind of slash direction I think certain characters in Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 might be going. Today, I'm going to talk about Aerith. I told you all we're going to be talking about Aerith here pretty soon. Today's the day. Before I get into that, if you all would, throw a like on the video. If you're into it, subscribe to the channel. Helps me out. Thanks for all the support I've been getting lately. My analytics say about 73% of people that watch my videos aren't subscribed, so let's get that number up. I appreciate it because y'all are watching it. Let's get this channel moving in the right direction. But before I started doing all these videos and stuff, I never paid any attention to that stuff. But now that I do, I'm like, oh, we might be doing something here. That would be very cool. So I would like to get more content out. So that will help me get more content out. So I thank you all very much for that. But today we're going to be talking about Aerith, kind of where she was in her journey in Final Fantasy VII Remake, where she's going to be going, heading into the unknown scope of what will be Final Fantasy VII's world now. From the very beginning of the game, it's very obvious that Aerith is a bit different than the original, how she was originally portrayed in Final Fantasy VII, the original game. While the other core characters stay relatively similar, if not identical, to how they were in the original game, it's obvious that she knows something. She knows more than what is being portrayed in the game, right? She knows much, much more. The planet speaks to her. She seems to be awkwardly knowing what's happening, right? Whenever big things happen in the story, whenever someone says something, Cloud says something, anyone says something, she awkwardly seems to kind of know what's happening in the story. Now, before everybody throws the Marlene thing out there, like she knew Marlene's name, I'm pretty sure, I'm almost 100% positive that they saw that image of Marlene in the train graveyard, and Tifa was talking about Marlene before they got there. That's how Aerith knew who Marlene was. So I'm going to debunk that real quick. I don't think that's an argument that can be made for this. But if this holds true that the planet's telling her everything, then she would know who Marlene was through that. But the game tells us that Tifa and her already had a conversation physically in the current time about Marlene and where she was at and what she was doing. Another example of that is when they're in Sector 5 and the kids are playing and the Genova Project S experiment is wandering around scaring the kids, you know, he passes out and that gets taken care of and he runs off in the Cloud. Talks about Sephiroth. And Aerith says, "You mean the war hero?" Like, she's covering up what she knows because Cloud says, "I think he might still be alive." She goes, "Oh, yeah." And it does a close-up of her from like the nose with the eyes down, saying, "Oh, yeah." Like,
Cloud, get it together. Come on.
You don't know who Sephiroth is, do you?
Sephiroth, the war hero? I know he died in an accident 5 years ago. They said so on the news.
Maybe they did. But I've got a feeling he's still alive.
Oh, right. Come on, let's go.
yeah. Like, it's like she's trying to badly cover up or play dumb. She's trying to play dumb like the whole time whenever stuff's happening, but she'll slip every now and then. She'll slip and let it be known that she knows more than what she's leading on. And there are times when she doesn't even care, right? She just starts word vomiting. She starts getting things off her chest because she's under a lot of pressure, right? I think she knows she's gonna die. I think she knows how she's going to die. And the whole game is her making peace with that, right? The whole game is her making peace with, this is how I'm gonna die. I know that I do have to die for the planet. I know that. And I know how I'm going to die. I'm just psyching myself up so I am getting ready for that. The whole game. So at the end, when her and Sephiroth confront each other on the freeway, and she's talking, she says,
And you're wrong. Everything about you is wrong.
She is divulging. She's just talking to him, and then that's her letting him know that she knows how this is supposed to go, and this isn't it. And he just smirks at her, right? He just smirks at her. Then the planet shows her the shot of Zack showing up outside Midgar right before he dies in Crisis Core. And she has this look on her face of surprise, like she's looking at the planet saying, why did you show me that just now? Why did you show me that? There's also the point in Hojo's lab, right? Where she's talking about what the whispers are, and she starts to say too much, right? And the whispers show up to shut her up, and then she says, every time they touch me, I feel like I lose a piece of myself. I think that is them kind of saying, hey, making her forget briefly, messing with her head or whatever, so that she stays on the right track. Because the planet has trusted her with all this knowledge, but at the same time, I think the planet's like, okay, reel it in. Reel it in. We need you to be more tight-lipped. You're not really doing as good a job with this as we hoped you would. I think that's the planet trying to reel her in and make her forget things. And even Red 13 was like, well, she touched me and calmed me down and gave me all this knowledge. All of a sudden I know what these things are, And there have been a lot of theories on who is actually communicating with Aerith, with fans citing a lot of references from the book, Final Fantasy VII book, On the Way to a Smile, which is a great book. And for now, I'm just going to say that we really have no idea who is communicating directly with Aerith. All we know is the planet is communicating with her. Whoever within the planet, if anybody in particular is communicating with her, we really don't know. It could be a former Time Loops Aerith, which that's a popular theory. It could be Ifalna, her mother. It could be Genesis. It could even be Sephiroth deceiving her. But for now, I'm just going to say the planet, because that's all we know for sure. So when they're in her old room at Hojo's lab, the whispers stop her from talking and saying too much. So why doesn't that happen on the freeway, right? Well, I think at that point, Sephiroth's corruption over the planet and over the whispers has gotten to such a point where I think that's the point where the planet's putting together that Sephiroth has screwed it over. Sephiroth has screwed everybody over, and he's about to wipe Destiny's hold, or Fate's hold on the timeline completely out. And then he's going to be able to get his way. I think that is the point where the planet shows Aerith Zack. And she's like, why are you showing me this? Because I think she already knows the planet. Well, obviously she already knows Zack's dead. And she probably knows how he died. Because I think he probably would have tried to come back to her before he returned to the planet when he died. So she knows what happened to Zack. That's why whenever Zack comes up, she's really... It's not like, I wonder whatever happened to him, or, I wonder if he's okay. I think she knows. I think this Aerith knows that Zack is dead, right? Now, I think she's troubled when the planet shows her that. Like, hey, I'm making a plan real quick, okay? You're going to be part of this plan. I'm only sharing this with you. Then, of course, as the viewer, we get to see what happens. Fate intervenes. Fate intervenes in the past, and that's going to change the present. I think Fate has intervened in the past, saved Zack. That's going to change the present. What butterflies we step on and what that changes with that big change, and what may have changed before that, we don't know. But keeping this to Aerith, she doesn't know that. She doesn't know Zack's life because the planet is no longer talking to her, right? I feel like at this point the planet is no longer talking to her, or hasn't yet. So at the end, when we see the I guess we'll call it the after image of Zack carrying Cloud, it's almost like a flashback, like that happened there. Like us as a viewer are seeing what happened there. Cloud and Aerith aren't really seeing it. I think Aerith is feeling something right there. I think she feels Zack right there. And now you got to keep in mind the Cetra, the Ancients, they have powers beyond normal people's understanding. She may be able to feel things. We know she can talk to spirits. We know she can talk to the dead. We know that Aerith can commune with the planet, with the dead. She can sense energy and stuff like that within the planet. Who's to say she can't sense Zack right there? I think she's sensing Zack's energy right there because A, not a lot of people are walking that way. They're probably traveling some other way. And B, she has this look on her face, and she knows that Zack died before that spot. He died way down the road. Like, they're going to pass where Zack died here in about a half an hour or something, right? On that cliff overlooking Midgar and everything. They're not there yet. They are closer to Midgar than he would have been when he died. And I think she feels that right there. I really do. I think she's feeling that, and she's understanding at that moment a lot of stuff has already changed. What they did has already changed. And it's after that moment where she says, I miss the steel sky. I feel like the steel sky in regards to Aerith, and they talk about it in Crisis Core. They've talked about it before. But I feel like it's her safety net. Her knowing everything that's going to happen. Her knowing this. Her knowing that. That was the safety. That was a metaphor. The steel sky is a metaphor for her comfort. That's why she's so loosey-goosey and comfortable throughout the game. But then when something comes up where, you know, her greater destiny is calling or whatever, her purpose, her, you know, her true role and things are calling, she kind of tenses up. She kind of gets uneasy. She gets awkward. She gets insecure. And totally not who she is the whole time. Like, the bubbly Aerith, I feel like, it's who she really is. I don't think it's a front. I think that's who she really is. But I feel like it's almost like a false confidence that she has, which makes the character so compelling in this version. She has this false confidence that she puts on airs. I think that's who she really is, a part of who she really is, but she does not want to face at all her reality because she knows what her reality is. Now, she spent all this time getting herself mentally prepared for knowing how she's going to die, knowing when she's going to die, and knowing why she's going to die. And now she knows nothing. Now all that she knows is that she knows nothing. Like, everything's changed now. And that's what Sephiroth wanted. Right? That's what Sephiroth wanted. I think that's why he gave her that little grin before he went into the dimensional vortex that he opens up, you know, the Destiny's Crossroads. Now she knows nothing. That's fascinating, and that's a fascinating point going into game number 2 because, you know, we're going to see a little more of that lack of confidence, a little more of that insecurity coming out in her. And I think it's going to cause not issues with her and her relationships within the group. I think it's going to cause her to be a little more closed off. She's going to be trying to commune with the planet. I think she won't be able to. I think something's going to be happening where she is closed off from the planet. I think Sephiroth's going to have control, not over the live stream, but over the the switchboard for the planet, right? He's going to have control over all the cell phone towers. You know, I think he's going to cut off control from Aerith to the planet, because he doesn't want her to be as strong as she should be. I still think Aerith will die. I still think Aerith is going to die. But we'll get into that here in a second. I think this is going to be 4 games and not 3. I don't see, because I feel like you're going to have a full act. I think this game will have 4 acts. I think you have to have a full act without Aerith at the end. But I don't think she's going to die at the end of this second game. I think they're going to use this game to build her up more, to get through her journey of, you know, her insecurity about not knowing for certain what's going to happen. She probably dies in the middle or toward the end of game number 3, I think. I could see that. And also, when I think of Aerith, I think of, you know, how they want to do her this time. I do believe she will have to die, I do believe. Because everybody, like, her mother's gone, Zack's gone, you know, her father's dead, you know, her people, the Cetra, they're all gone. She's the last one. I think of the Lord of the Rings, right? I think of the Lord of the Rings, the Return of the King, at the end, when Gandalf looks to Frodo, he's like, it's time. And that sad moment when everybody's on the boat and they're sailing off to the Grey Havens, I kind of feel like that's going to be Aerith a little bit, you know? But I think she's going to die. I think she will die for her, for what she has to achieve, and to be one with the planet, and to be in the live stream, and to activate Holy and all that kind of stuff. Now, I'm not one of these people that thinks she has to be in the live stream to do that. Sephiroth killed her because he didn't want her to activate Holy right there on the altar and end it right there, because that's what was going to happen, you know. She was going to pray for Holy. It might have been blocked. She may not have been able to do it right then, but at some point she would have been powerful enough to summon Holy to stop Meteor and to maybe eradicate Genova's cells or whatever. We don't know. But that is why I don't get a lot of times when people say, oh, she has to die. Well, no, she really doesn't. I mean, for the emotional impact of the story, yes. But for the actual story itself, no. Because, you know, if she's powerful enough to summon Holy and bring it out of the planet, well, it's game over right then. Jenova, Sephiroth, all dead. Gone. But that's not the way it plays out. We know why. You know, Sephiroth thought she was too much of a problem. He even tells Cloud in the dream, she's going to be a problem. What are we going to do about this? You know? So I think her moving forward in game number 2, I think we're going to learn a lot about her. And I think we are going to learn a lot. She's going to have her hero's journey in game number 2. I think her part of game number 2's narrative will be her journey to becoming a confident, powerful Cetra. And what she's meant to be, what she's supposed to be. And she'll get that hero arc. I think she'll have a big part of the ending of game number 2. And I think in game number 3 she dies. And kind of like, you know, falling on her sword for the planet in a way. She don't use a sword, but you know what I'm saying. I really hope we get to see a lot with her establishing relationships with the new characters that are going to be introduced in game number 2 and furthering the relationships with the people that she already knows and loves and cares about from game number 1. I think her and Barrett are going to have a really cool relationship. Her and Tifa are already like sisters. I think they're going to have a very sisterly relationship. I think Aerith and Cloud might have a bit of a disconnect. I think we're going to have a situation where Cloud has to get Aerith, like almost root her on to become who she's supposed to be, just like in game number 3 or 4, probably game number 4. Tifa's going to have to save Cloud in the same way. I think there's going to be a parallel there, because we all know that once Cloud figures out the jig's up, you know, with everything going on with him mentally, that he's really Zack and all this other kind of stuff, I think that's going to create the issue with him. I think that has to remain. I think that has to remain in the story, because Cloud's psychosis is such a big part of Final Fantasy VII. It's such a big twist and one of the most memorable parts of that story that it has to be in there. I'm not one of these people that's like, this has to be exactly like the original game. But there are some points that make Final Fantasy VII Final Fantasy VII, and that is one of them. That has to stay in there. So I think that parallel will be present. I think the writers, I think Nojima and Kitase are aware of that. As far as Aerith and Zack go, I don't think we even see Zack. I think it'll allude to him. I think the players will see him in cutscenes or whatever. They'll have like the big reveal, like he'll be talking to somebody wherever he's at. I think it's going to be Wutai. He'll be talking to somebody but I don't think the party is actually going to see him or meet him until the very end of the game. The very end of the game, I think, is when we see it, and I don't know how that's going to work. I'm still thinking about how that's going to work with Cloud. I don't think Cloud is written out of the story just yet. I don't think Tifa's going to know who Zack is. And that could be interesting, because like whenever game number 2 opens with Cloud telling his story, I think that's going to start. That might be a good bookend, actually. Tifa's going to be like, wait, no, that wasn't you. She's going to be thinking that to herself. Then at the end of it, she sees Zack. She's like, this is the guy who it was, you know, and that's going to start Tifa's questions. But this is about Aerith. We get a moment between Zack and Aerith. I think there's going to be little breadcrumbs for Aerith along the way to let her know that Zack is alive, that they are close to Zack, or something like that. We're going to have something going on with them. I don't know how I feel about this next part, so don't crucify me about this, but I feel like something's going to happen with Zack, and I think he's going to get corrupted somehow. And I think he's going to be who kills Aerith or gets Aerith killed. I do. In game number 3. I think that's how they're going to break our hearts this time. You're going to have the happy reunion with Zack and Aerith and all that kind of stuff. And I think the Genova cells are going to take over Zack. I think Zack is going to succumb. And I think he's going to be who kills Aerith. I hate that. I hope I'm wrong. But my gut is telling me Zack will have something to do with Aerith dying in game number 3. That's how I feel. I hope I'm wrong. Can you imagine, like, can you imagine the altar scene if they still kill Aerith on the altar, but Sephiroth doesn't do it, Zack does it? And then he morphs into something horrid and you have to fight him and beat him. And then he has this dying regret of what he did to Aerith or whatever. I mean, I hope not. But my gut is telling me that it's going to be something along those lines. But anyway, like I said, don't roast me in the comments too hard on that one, okay? That's what I feel like is maybe going to happen. So, but I hope I'm wrong, like I said. Anyway, I think Aerith is going to be super, super OP. She's way, way, way overpowered in game number 2, especially when she figures out her path and her role and all this now moving forward, and her having to soldier forward with without the cheat sheet from the planet. You know what I mean? So it'll be very interesting. I think Aerith is she's one of my favorite Final Fantasy characters, and I think she's a very sympathetic character. She actually reminds me of like the fun neighbor, you know what I mean, the sweet neighbor that the whole neighborhood would do anything for. That's kind of how they portray her in Sector 5, right? Like everyone's like, hey Aerith, what's going on? Hey, can you help me wait these tables? Hey, and the kids are like wanting to play and everything. And you know, it's very moving, very heartwarming character, and I'm very much looking forward to where they go with her in part 2, because I do still believe that Aerith ends in tragedy. I do, but I don't know where, and I don't know when, but I think I might know how. So anyway, if you all like that, please throw a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I got some more theory videos on characters and the game itself and kind of what I might like to see from what they're doing. But I'm glad you all are here. Thank you for watching the video, and you all have a great night. Keep rocking. I can't stress that enough. Y'all keep rocking out there. Have a good time. Be safe out there. Be good to each other. And I will see you all in the next video.